Growing up in the 70s and 80s was a really weird time. Children left baffled by their government, and the emerging Generation X was the first to truly question the American system. For good reason, too. They had just seen the US military get their ass handed to them in a part of the world that most of them couldn't identify. Along with that, they lived in the golden years of the AIDS epidemic, and watched America's most respected official, the president, be forced to resign from office. From this generation, a man rose with an ambition to highlight the flaws and hypocrisy that he was raised around. His name was Matt Groening, and he used The Simpsons to highlight the flaws and absurdities of social and professional responsibilities, along with the expectations that they bring in American life. Firstly, though, to truly understand how The Simpsons critiqued American responsibility, one must first understand what put American responsibility in the position to be critiqued. Imagine this. You're a confused child with little attention from your parents, and you see on the TV and read in the papers numerous scandals affecting your home country. This was the reality for the children of Generation X, often referred to as the latchkey generation due to a trend of children going to empty homes with a latchkey necklace. With an apparent lack of role models and mentors in life, many of the kids turn to sitcoms, often using their lead characters to portray a stand-up American father and someone to learn lessons from. These values, however, were oversimplified and unrealistic, leading to a confused generation of adults to emerge, often questioning authority and governing systems, evidenced by a popularization of punk rock, an emphasis on individualism, and having more faith in pop culture icons than government officials, and a near complete revival of youth culture. The rebellious spirit and authenticity of self led to the Generation X being referred to as the lost or invisible generation. Matt Groening hailed from this generation, and the imprint of it had left a mark on his career, evidenced by his first professional work, Life in Hell. A parody of American life, starring a little rabbit named Binky and a gay couple, the series was often shown covering an array of themes like angst, social alienation, self-loathing, and fear of inevitable doom. Often attacking school, work, and love, Matt Groening used the series to highlight what young adults despise as well as an outlet for his personal venting. The series gained appeal to the rebellious Generation X. Many saw it as a voice for their cries in society too. The series eventually gained enough traction to be picked up for a short segment on The Tracy Ullman Show, which evolved into the concept, The Simpsons.
Told you. We're gonna hang out, and watch a movie.
Did you know that you and I both live in Springfield? Yeah, sure, it sounds crazy, but it's true. Springfield represents so much more than just a little city of yellow people. It's America, or at least a Flanderized version of America. Springfield is meant to be a massive city that plays on American culture. That's why the location remains ambiguous, and Springfield represents every stereotype, both negative and positive, about America. It's also been shown to have beaches, deserts, snowy mountains, and other impossible terrain that exist near each other.
You can see the 4 states that border Springfield: Ohio, Nevada, Maine, and Kentucky.
It represents America as a whole, and the characters reflect this, from the hardworking, lovable immigrant Apu to the inbred country hick Cletus. Furthermore, the show uses these characters to question and criticize American life and responsibilities, and their hypocrisies. This was actually the entire point of the show. In an interview, Matt Groening said his message with the show was, "It's that maybe the authorities don't always have your best interests at heart." Groening built off that foundation in his work and truly challenged American ideals. One of my favorite examples is in Groening and Swartzelder's criticism of professional responsibility is in Season 8, Episode 23, Homer's Enemy.
To professionalism!
It's an episode that completely shatters the American dream and professional responsibility. It completely challenges the American right that hard work breeds success, using Frank Grimes to illustrate its point. The episode as a whole provides a very nihilistic view of the American dream as a whole, and it does this by putting the complete opposite of Homer Simpson in the show, a hardworking, highly intelligent, and very meticulous man named Frank Grimes. Frank Grimes is meant to be Homer's polar opposite, down to the every detail of his character, the design, the personality, and even the lives they lead. Homer is shown to be an optimistic, lovable, humble family man. Frank Grimes is the complete opposite. He is portrayed as a vindictive, pessimistic bachelor who feels cheated out of life. The episode opens with Kent Brockman, Springfield's news anchor, doing a segment on Frank Grimes' life.
Tonight's inspiring story is about Frank Grimes, a 35-year-old Springfieldite who's earned everything the hard way, but never let adversity get him down. Abandoned by his parents at age 4...
We are immediately shown Frank Grimes' hardworking nature and how he's managed to come from nothing. Mr. Burns sees this and in an act of admiration, actively seeks out Frank, just for when Frank arrives to immediately overlook him once again in life.
In the meantime, here's Frank Grimes. the self-made man?
What? Oh, yes, that fellow. Just put him somewhere out of the way and find that dog.
Yes, sir.
The episode cuts to Homer and two buddies, Lenny and Carl, talk about meeting Grimes whilst he sits at his office. In the first impressions, Frank is already uncomfortable around Homer, showing his displeasurement with Homer's lazy and sloppy behavior. This later evolves into a more aggressive approach, and Frank Grimes gets more and more discontent, and that becomes more and more apparent.
Imagine that, he was hanging from a coat hook.
He had 3 beers at lunch. That would make anybody sleepy.
I've never seen him do any work around here. I mean, what is his job?
Safety inspector?
That irresponsible oaf?
The conflict remains unacknowledged by Homer, as he continues to treat Grimes like a friend, and even thanks him after he calls him an idiot, ironically. The episode is teaching a lesson and actively going after an American ideal and expectation. The episode screams this message of hard work doesn't always pay off. Grimes is also used to teach this lesson again, constantly trying to do the best thing and being shunned for it, and he even gets scolded for saving Homer's life.
You idiot! You nearly drank a beaker full of sulfuric acid.
Acid, eh? Gee, that would have been stupid. Boy, would my face have been red.
Stop laughing, you imbecile! Don't you realize how close you just came to killing yourself?
Who did this to my wall?
He did.
Is this true?
Technically it is true, sir, but...
Come with me.
Distraught after this, he tells off Homer and declares them enemies. Homer talks to Moe about his woes later that night, and the two create a plan to befriend Grimes. Homer invites the man over for dinner. Homer, a nervous wreck, is desperate to please Frank, evidenced by his panic attack when the doorbell is rung. Grimes is welcomed in and introduced to the family. After formalities, Frank takes a real look at the house. And I mean, a real look.
So, if you don't mind telling me... Good heavens! This is a palace!
Grimes compares his situation to himself, noting that his small apartment smashed between 2 bowling alleys is hardly anything compared to this. He looks at the photos and marvels at Homer's life experiences incredulously. As he looks around and takes it in, he realizes that anything he's ever wanted in life, that he's worked so desperately hard for, is owned by a man that he perceives as a sloppy, bumbling idiot who's never put an effort for anything. He doesn't deserve it, in Grimes' opinion. He rants, pissed off by this joke of meritocracy.
God, I've had to work hard every day of my life, and what do I have to show for it? This briefcase and this haircut. And what do you have to show for your lifetime of sloth and ignorance?
What?
Everything!
Demeaning him to prove a point, Frank verbally attacks Homer for his coming up in the world, emphasizing the material wealth Homer has, going as far to list off the things and accomplishments Homer has done and has, and tells him about the huge flaw in American professional responsibility.
You're what's wrong with America, Simpson. You coast through life, you do as little as possible, and you leech off decent, hard-working people, like me.
The next morning, Homer and Marge have a heart-to-heart about the situation. She explains that Frank's not angry at Homer, but he's angry at the system, and it's understandable. Grimes' whole life has been filled with a lie that working hard was his responsibility as an American, that it might bring him fulfillment. But all he's gotten his entire life is marginalization. The episode is a critique of American professional responsibility and the overarching American dream. The episode uses Grimes to show that part of being alive leaves you with a responsibility to find fulfillment in what you have. It often challenges the lessons many children received growing up. It challenges having a plan in life too. Grimes is also used to teach another responsibility of living in America. Don't soil your life by looking at another one you think is better. Grimes is driven mad through this obsession with Homer having a better life than him.
Yeah,
Homer's okay. Give him a break.
No, Homer is not okay. And I want everyone in this planet to realize it. I would die a happy man if I could prove to you that Homer Simpson has the intelligence of a 6-year-old.
Funnily enough, Grimes creates an argument to further prove his point about Homer, just to be ignored by Lenny and Carl in the break room because they don't want to deal with his absurdities, and adding to the cycle of marginalization. Grimes, full of spite and an effort to prove his point, puts Homer in a child power plant model competition. The plan, however, doesn't go as well as he hopes.
Oh, God.
On the day of the competition, Homer beats other innovative designs from the actual children of the competition with an uninspired design and even comments on his little amount of work.
Then I added some fins to lower wind resistance, and this racing stripe here I feel is pretty sharp.
Agreed. First prize.
This sends Grimes into a complete breakdown, and he begins to imitate what he perceives as Homer's behavior. Trying to prove a point, Frank does a dumb decision and touches wires without safety gloves, and gets electrocuted, killing him on the spot. And even at his funeral, Homer falls asleep and rudely says,
Change the channel, Marge!
This further reiterates Frank's point and further conveys the message of following professional responsibilities doesn't always mean success. Swartzwelder created an emotionally stunning and polarizing lesson about the disillusionment of the idea that as an American you have the right to the American dream, because the truth is, it's possible that life just won't work out. It challenges workplace dynamics and the myth of meritocracy. This is likely due to the target audience. For some background, Fox needed a big hit and decided against the business norm of appealing to the children and older generations. They decided to swim out from a sea of family-friendly sitcoms with an adult-oriented anime cartoon, a genre that also at the time was only filled with children's entertainment. Like with The Simpsons, Matt Groening often voices discomfort with personal life in his work through metaphors. Often, he's based his characters on real-life counterparts. His parents, for example, being Homer and Marge Groening. Growing up in the 80s left a lot of Generation X children to grow up alienated and socially inept in some aspects. Matt Groening and Dave Greaney used that feeling to criticize familial and social responsibility in season 27, episode 9, Bart Hood.
I can fly! No, I can't! I can't!
Bart Hood completely challenges a lot of American ideals and stigmas around familial responsibility. The episode was written by Dan Greaney and has challenged so many stereotypes about growing up as an American and what responsibilities we hold within our families. The episode also does work to challenge the idea of family being a given right through various character interactions and family dynamics. The episode begins with Bart and Homer laying down on the lawn. Bart is asking Homer questions until Homer snaps and the scene pans to a shot of Homer laying on the ground crippled. We're immediately given a glimpse to the neglect Bart faces, being left unsupervised and causing injuries to get attention from a household that refuses to give him it. Bart is taken to Abraham Simpson's house and grumpily complains about the lack of playtime with his father. Already, the episode has given us a glimpse into what life was like for Generation X, continuing and ingraining the message of neglect. Abe takes pity of Bart and takes him out driving.
You ain't sitting in it.
Grandpa, I can't drive.
Neither can I legally. Now let's get going.
The show fast forwards 2 years into the future. Bart is receiving tutoring lessons, further highlighting the negligence his parents leave in his life. The show is trying to convey a message about the responsibility as caretakers, and how negligence leads to rebellion, and the show uses Bart's established role as a troublemaker to further a connection there.
Boy, you've ruined our kitchen. Do you understand? This is a place of pork chops.
The episode bathes in these dynamics.
Homer, please, just say something positive.
Well, it's a colorful example of something that ruined our kitchen!
The episode constantly plays into these challenges and responsibilities of caring for your loved ones, often showing how it's important to be gentle and forgiving with family, even if something does go wrong.
Of a bless.
I got gumption.
And how challenging the responsibilities to love our families unconditionally are when it does go wrong. Later that episode, it challenges the unspoken right to family, and puts a genuine dilemma on Homer, genuinely making him decide between his laziness and his son.
Homer, this summer may be your last chance to have a close relationship with your son. Don't blow
The
it.
guys talk for a bit, and Homer goes to Moe's, not even 10 minutes after Marge and Lisa left. Bart takes advantage of the situation and throws a party. Bart smells weed and goes to the source to tell whoever's smoking in the house to stop it. just to find his dad and the chief of police ripping a bong. Chief Wiggum falls out of a window, and Bart and Homer take advantage of the personal time and have a heart-to-heart. Homer reveals that he was terrified to have children and neglected Bart as a self-defense mechanism, and that he really did love Bart. The show is using this to explain the responsibility of showing love is harder than some people will acknowledge. Sometimes love can be genuinely terrifying, but an American familial responsibility is to overcome that. Bart and Homer relate on being misunderstood and share a hug, just for Homer to ruin it with a backhanded comment.
Oh, I'm so glad we're sharing this. And I'm glad I have one kid who's never gonna go anywhere or do anything.
Damn it, Homer.
Deeper into the episode, Lisa and Bart argue after Milhouse calls Lisa the best thing at the party. Bart offended that even at his best friend's party, he still overlooked for his sister. Lisa rebukes a tough-to-hear truth to Bart, that he can't blame her for everything, that he has to take responsibility for some of his shortcomings, and that he needs to stop focusing on everything bad and focus on what he's actually good at, like his art. Bart leaves the party, mixed and with a new mindset, evidenced by his custom bike shop in the future. Bart meets Lisa by chance, and they catch up after the year separated. Bart reveals he took the advice to heart and shows his murals and other accomplishments. The episode ends by showing a painting of Lisa that Bart made in her tribute, showing that he did eventually come to accept her. Barthood was a beautiful example of how American familial rights and responsibilities can be genuinely hard to maintain. To a generation that was confused on who they could trust and even look up to, this was a message of incredible importance. It highlights the difficulties of maintaining those responsibilities and how it's fine to waver as long as you get your head straight. The episode in all further supports the Simpsons' attempted education of familial and social American responsibilities and rights. The Simpsons came at a time where Americans were very confused. It's used its deep-world and lovable characters to educate the lost young adults about the responsibilities that they have as an American citizen. The show covers nearly every type of responsibility one can have while remaining relative to the times and the society around it. It came through to help guide a generation that to many was seen as lost and near hopeless. When times were tough, The Simpsons came through to help.